Let's take a look at the CRESUS application. So here we have Firefox and the login screen for CRESUS. It's on port 8081/CRESUS. So if we go to login, and we can enter a name. So in this case we've set it up to take user1 and the password user1. So as you can see, within CRESUS we can view the instance data, can approve any changes, can exit, or when this phase of the requirements gathering is complete, we can select the data entry complete. So let's start by looking at the instance data. So here in the screen we can filter the data. So for example, you can filter based on owner, fee, motorbike or van. And we can create some instance data. So let's create some instance data. So here we have a controlled natural language editor, and basically it takes all the concepts and any instance data. For example, fee car or Jane Doe is the instance data for the concept owner. This controlled natural language editor allows us to put together the CNL requirements in terms of triples. In the previous example we looked at the clerk issues registration. So here we'll now take a look at the instance data. John Smith issues registration 102455. The first step is to create the clerk, and in here we can create the clerk called John Smith. Limitation with this system is that the numbers have to be in the camelback notation. So in other words, there's no space, the words are sandwiched together. It's a limitation to do with one of the technologies within the environment. So we submit that name. Now John Smith appears as a clerk that we can select. So we select John Smith. It's to issue new registration. To owner, apologies, I was saying registration, but it's so the clerk issues new registration to owner, and we can select Jane Doe. Again, it's important that for the triple and requirements it must end in a full stop, and this is a requirement for the server in the background. So we put in the full stop, and this completes our requirements. So we select OK. That requirement is then passed into the system or into the approval process to the relevant person. Notice it doesn't appear in the data table at this stage. So let's exit. As part of this tool, when you exit, you're automatically brought to the journal, where you can then enter 2 highlights and 2 challenges that you faced during this part of the experiment. So once you enter in information there, hit the submit button. You're informed the comments have been submitted, and click OK, and the journal ends. Now again we need to go back to CRESUS, so we hit the back button. And then we can log in as the business executive BE1 and the same password BE1. As part of the experiment, a survey will appear with any changes that have been made since you last logged in. In here it's asking to rate your understanding of the changes since you last logged in, where 1 is no understanding and 7 is full understanding. So here it indicates that new instance data was created by user 1, and that was John Smith as a clerk. So that we have, say, full understanding. Then the second one is a new statement created by user 1. John Smith clerk issues new registration to Jane Doe, and Jane Doe is an owner. So that it appears. So we can submit that, and then we're brought back to the CRESUS screen. Here we can take a look at the instance data. So it's the same as before, but what's different is we now have a change that we can approve. So let's select the approved changes. We can see that John Smith issues new registration to Jane Doe. If we select on that requirement, we can then accept the statement or reject that statement. So let's accept the statement, and that statement has gone back to the next stage of the approval process. Now we could go back into instance data and create another requirement, but let's exit. And again, we've skipped the journal part, so we'll go back to CRESUS and log in as the IT architect, so ITA1, and password is ITA1. As before, we're given a survey to rate our understanding of the changes that have been made. The first two changes are the same as before. What's new now is that the statement has been accepted by the business executive 1, and that's the previous statement. John Smith clerk issues new registration to Jane Doe owner. So we can see that that was accepted. So let's say we understand that. And now we can have a look at the instance data. So it's still the same screen as before. Let's look at approved changes, and here we have John Smith issues new registration. Let's accept this statement, and we'll go back to the instance data, and now we can see that the requirement is part of the data model. John Smith issues new registration Jane Doe. So it's gone through the approval process before it finally reaches the data model. Let's assume that we're happy with this phase of the requirements. So for the IT architect, they can then indicate the data entry is complete. The progress bar will indicate that one of the 3 users of this system has now completed this phase, and then they can exit. Let's go back to the CRESUS tool again, and this time user 1 can log in. Again, they can complete the survey, so it indicates that the statement they entered previously has been accepted by the business executive and the IT architect. So let's indicate we fully understand what's happening there. Now, again, they can look at the instance data. We can see the new requirement is there. We can look at approved changes, so there's nothing to approve. And at this stage, we're happy that this phase is complete. So let's click the data entry complete. So now 2 of the 3 participants have completed this phase, and we'll exit. So now as business executive, we'll log in BE1 and password BE1. Again, as before, the survey, so we can indicate that the statement has been accepted by the IT architect, so we fully understand that statement. Again, looking at the instance data, so our requirement is there. Approve changes, there's nothing to approve, so let's say we're happy with this phase.